Have you ever heard of somebody who abducts little boys?
Room below's got some horrible smells.
We don't want to go in there.
What are you doing?
Complimentary room service. There is that.
Hello and welcome to another Dollar Store Drive-In. I'm your host, Laura.
I'm Joel.
And we're the Newly Dads. And if this is your first time watching, welcome. This is a half-hour chat show where we discuss a movie that we've watched. If this is not your first time, welcome back. We appreciate you tuning in each week, and hopefully you'll continue to keep doing that. If you are listening to this, that means you're listening to us on probably Spotify. We do upload this as a podcast, but this is a visual show. So we highly recommend that you find us at thenewlydeads.com for all of your spooky Newly Deads needs. On that site, you're going to find information about where you can find our show. You're going to find information about if we're doing any sort of events in the local area here. We are in Rockford, Illinois. So, come see us in person if you want to. And you'll also see information about blog posts that Mr. Newly Dead writes. Occasionally, I do write blog posts about small businesses and artists and makers and all sorts of things. But he writes different reviews on movies and things of that nature. So definitely check it out because he has a lot of opinions on things, and it's not just necessarily the stuff that you're watching today. So it's all kinds of movies. He likes all sorts of different genres, mostly horror movies, and of that nature. But he also likes some obscure westerns sometimes, some like sci-fi from the 50s and 60s, and yeah, he's definitely into those black and white films. And he collects a lot of movies through different organizations. I don't know if that's the right thing. Companies like Vinegar Syndrome. As you can see, we have a whole plethora of movies behind us. And he has a bunch of other movies that he's going to be watching and reviewing throughout his lifetime. So definitely go and check that out as well. But we are here to discuss a movie that we've watched. Again, if this is your first time watching, we do have some criteria for that film. It needs to be under $5. It needs to be a horror, thriller, or sci-fi genre movie, and it needs to be a movie that neither of us have ever seen before. So a lot of times we do find these movies out in the wild. And by the wild, I mean that we find them at thrift stores, or sometimes we'll find them at secondhand stores. There's a really cool toy store here in Rockford. There's a which is called Beach Boys Toys. We also find things at Toad Hall, which is a record store. A lot of times we'll find things at event kind of things. So like the Peck thing. We also find things at Hidden Treasures, which is like a really huge secondhand vintage antique mall kind of thing. Yeah. So if you are in the area, go check those places out as well. I'm sure he's probably popped up some of their logos and things, and I'm making a lot more work for him every time I say another one. But this week we watched a movie that is on a 3-disc or 3-movie, 1-disc. I don't know what you would call it, compilation collection.
Yeah.
So we finally finished this collection. We watched Salvage before, we watched Mortuary, and then this week we watched a movie called Memory. Memory's got a lot of people in it, and he's going to go over that in the second part of the show, but it's definitely an interesting cast, that's for sure.
It falls very, very much on the edge of our 3 types of films we watch. It's in the thriller genre, but
yeah, it is borderline. I would say it's definitely a borderline kind of movie. But yeah, so do you think we should read the synopsis, and that way they can understand exactly what movie we watched, and then we'll get on and watch the trailer so you can actually see some of the visuals from it. Mm-hmm. If you're interested in finding this movie, I'm sure you can find it somewhere in the world. He might be able to give you that information. Otherwise, it's called Memory. It's from 2006. So
Yep.
sorry, I'm blowing that part of it.
That's all right.
All right, so I'm going to go ahead and read the synopsis. When Dr. Taylor Briggs is exposed to a mysterious drug while lecturing in Brazil, he is forced to relive the dark, twisted memories of a killer. Embarking upon a lone journey to unlock the mystery of a past that is not his own, Taylor must find a killer whose horrifying work may not be over. He was in Brazil?
Originally, that's where it started. Yeah.
Well, the person was.
He was too, because remember he got on the plane with
and then went home.
biohazard bag, which
I
for some
do.
reason Customs was like, cool, bring a biohazard bag actually with contents in it.
In the plane.
In the plane, not like underneath in the storage area in like a safety sealed, hermetically closed something. No, it's sitting in a bag.
It says biohazard right on it.
He's just like, hey, what's this?
Yeah, looking at it while he's like flying.
All this recycled air.
Post 9/11 and everything. So I don't know what the heck is going on with that.
A little sus.
A little sus. A little loose on the what you can do.
Everything. Excuse me.
On everything, yeah, that's for sure. But yeah, so we're gonna watch the trailer. Let's make it a little airplane coming from Brazil.
Why not? Coming from Brazil.
Maybe it's got a Brazil flag somewhere. I don't know. All right, so we're going to pause it, and then we will be right back with some thoughts that Mr. Newly Dead and I both will have. All right, we'll be right back.
Hi. It happened again. Concussions can cause memory regression, all kinds of stuff. You know this. It's not my memory. Hi. You're telling me you're seeing things that happened a year prior to your birth?
Hello.
If this stuff happened over 30 years ago, isn't it too late to help them now?
I'm seeing his regrets.
Why regrets?
These are the only things we remember from our lives.
And we're back. Thanks for sticking with us. All right, Mr. Newly Dead, what you got?
All right, so whenever we watch a film, we both will take notes, actually. Mrs. Newly Dead this year has committed to take notes every single film, and so far she is at a cool 100%.
I am.
I take notes digitally, I print them out, and at the end of the year, Mrs. Newly Dead collects them into flip books that you can view on our website that we mentioned previously. 2023 and 2024 are available now. 2025 is coming soon. So if you're curious about what's on here now, you'll have to wait. The only person who gets to see that now are myself and my wife. So anyway, I'll show her now what is on here and go from there. So.
All right. Looks like he's got is that a taco?
No, it's supposed to be like a weirdly shaped skull. I'm just playing around with skull shapes.
It almost looks like a taco shaped skull. Yeah. And a finger. It looks like a hand, a disembodied hand with like a little bone sticking out of the wrist area, and it says, "Look at the skull."
Yeah.
And and then it looks like a brain coming out of a head, and like the tongue is like licking up in the nose.
I was looking at that little popcorn Funko Pop we have.
Yeah.
And then it kind of turned into like one of the creatures from one of the clickers from The Last of Us, sort of, but like kind of cute, but not really.
It is cute. I think you should make that into something.
It's weird. It's kind of Muppety.
It'd be a fun sticker.
It's like bok choy or something. I don't know. It's weird. Anyway.
I did not spell that word correctly. The word guy, I did not spell that correctly at all.
Okay.
G-Y-E. I'm the bad guy.
Yeah.
So I wrote memory
Of course.
in my hand lettering, illustrative lettering kind of thing.
What is happening on the right?
That's the drawings that he made.
Oh.
In the movie, the guy's like drawing some of the stuff that he's dreaming about.
Forgot about
and so I tried to recreate some of the
You nailed it.
Yeah.
You
Ice
laughed so hard
skating.
at that part.
Oh my gosh, they
'Cause
were
you're like,
horrible.
he's not an artist, but he was
Yeah.
trying to draw his dream. And if they were showing that as like a, hey, find this guy, they wouldn't find him.
Yeah, and then I drew the bad guy,
Oh,
which it wasn't really a guy
So-
after all. Ooh,
there
spoiler.
will be spoilers, guys, because we're
Sorry.
right off the bat going to tell you we're probably not recommending this film.
No. Yeah.
Anyway, so
All right.
Memory is from 2006, currently sitting at 5.2 out of 10 on the Internet Movie Database. Shock horror. This is written and directed, I should say co-written and directed by Bennett Davlin, who wrote a short film and that was it. They did have a part in a co-writing something called The Medallion, but I don't know how much of it they actually participated in. So basically, this is their senior thesis. And then it was also co-written by Anthony Badalucco, Badalucco.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. I think that's how you say it. Who did a short film in this also. I think they probably are writing partners. So I guess they felt this was the best they could do and they moved on, or who knows. So now the stars that she was mentioning in the previous episode and kind of here at this beginning. First of all, we've got the enigmatic Billy Zane, who you may remember from a little film that hardly made a mark on society called Titanic. I don't know if you ever heard of that James Cameron thing. I don't know. The thing that happened. He was in Posse, the Mario Van Peebles Western. He was in Back to the Future 1 and 2.
Oh, right.
Yeah, I even forgot about it. I was like, he was in that.
Yeah.
He was in The Mad, which is a movie we've talked about before. That's kind of a zombie movie, but with mad cow disease, if I remember correctly. And he was in Zoolander 1 and 2
You didn't
as
put,
Billy Zane.
You didn't put Devil's Night, or what? Not Devil's Night. What's it called? Not Devil's Night. He was in that. Gosh, what was that movie? It's gonna bother me.
Think about it.
Yeah.
It'll pop up to you when we're going through, and you'll yell it out here shortly.
Not Devil's Night. It was
This also starred Tricia Helfer, who was in the 2007 film Spiral. Not the Saw thing, but the fantastic film Spiral that is on the shelf. Scent of the Missing, which hoo-ah sounds like a weird sequel to Scent
Demon
of a
Night.
Woman. Oh, Demon Night. Yeah, you like to talk about Demon Night.
yeah.
Which I don't honestly know if I've seen it.
You've never seen Demon Night?
I've seen Bordello Blood, but I don't know if I've ever seen Demon Night.
How dare you?
I know, right?
Got a good
And I
soundtrack.
like Billy Zane.
Yeah.
I like him better without
Jada
hair.
Pinkett Smith's in it.
Really?
Yeah.
Weird. Yeah, I'll
She's the main chick.
have to see it at some point, I guess. We've talked about it before,
Shoot,
but
let's watch it tonight.
shoot. And she was in 37, A Final Promise. No idea what that's about. This also stars somebody named Anne Margaret. I don't know who she is. She was in Carnal Knowledge, which if you've never seen it, fantastic 70s film. Jack Nicholson's in it. The wonderful Candice Bergen, and I forget who the fourth person is. There's 4 people in it. I think it's maybe Elliot Gould. Then Grumpy Old Men 1 and 2,
Yeah, she was great in that.
which are fun movies if you've not seen them. I don't know if they hold up, but they were good back in the day.
I think they do.
Jack Lemmon and Walter Matthau
Oh, yeah.
doing their thing with Anne Margaret.
Yep.
And she was in Bye Bye Birdie, which is a classic musical. Even I
Now
like
I'm
Bye
gonna
Bye
sing Bye Bye Birdie.
And then finally, the independent actor that I don't think he did like 2 movies in his life, Dennis Hopper. He was in Land of the Dead, the George A. Romero, the 4th in the series of the Dead films. He was in True Romance, which is the film that really started my entire journey into wanting to be a filmmaker, screenwriter / loving film. That and Silence of the Lambs are kind of the genesis of that arc. Blue Velvet, the David Lynch classic. He has one of the most memorable lines in it that I won't say because it's a lot of cursing, but it's been used in an Anthrax song and a bunch of other stuff. And he was in Speed, which we just talked about
I was hoping you were gonna say that.
previously when Keanu Reeves was on the Watcher episode.
Yeah.
So at this point, my lovely wife turns to me and says,
What'd you think?
Okay. So I started off my notes by saying, what is this? This feels like a drama. And I said, what the heck is going on? For the first, I don't know, hour and a half of this film, I was confused. I mean, I understood the plot, but I didn't understand why it was a movie, what the purpose was of it. It just felt really sloppy and weird and soft focus and kind of like a TV movie, but
Exactly what I wrote.
not What, that it was like a TV movie?
I said it reminds me of a made-for-TV movie. Yeah.
Very much so.
Weird, cheesy music.
Yep, the music was weird.
Yeah. I said Billy Zane's a mumbler. He just wasn't talking, like, he wasn't enunciating. It was just like, it's weird to see him in that role, because I do see him as like kind of like and we discussed this, like I see him as a bad guy kind of, and so it was weird to see him in this like really like, I don't know, sweet, son kind of like good guy, like I'm a doctor, well, not really a doctor, but I do research, and he's got hair, which is weird. And
that got a whole nother conversation going.
Yeah, I was like, I thought he was bald, and then he proved that no, he actually does have a full head of hair. He just likes to shave his head.
Although one of the comments said that he's had it shaved for so long that they're not sure how much is really there anymore.
Yeah,
but he started shaving it when he had a full head of hair and just kind of continued doing it.
Yeah,
it is weird to see him with hair though anymore, because he looks better bald in my opinion.
Yeah,
and that's not just because I'm follically challenged.
I also said that everyone is soft talkers in this movie.
It was kind of hard to understand a lot of what's going on.
Just like, and like the interactions between like the characters were really odd.
Nobody really clicked.
Well, his mom had Alzheimer's, so which makes you go, oh, memory. Okay, it's about like Alzheimer's, and maybe that's like some cure for it, and it turns him into a zombie or something like that. No, that's not what this movie was.
They were just like, what all has to do with memory? Okay, Alzheimer's, goldfish, red powder that you get from some sort of a weird tribe. What else? And they just kind of threw whatever at the wall, hoping that the pasta was cooked. And I wrote down Billy Zane looks weird with hair also.
He does.
He looks
like
okay
fuzzy.
when it's like coiffed and it's like a big like.
It was like a fuzzy, weird. Yeah, I didn't like it.
It was just short and not crew cut. If it would have been a crew cut, it might have been okay, but then he would have looked like a bad guy.
Right.
I said the cast of this film is crazy, which is true. Dennis Hopper was unusually like sweet uncle, kind-hearted kind of guy. He wasn't really his uncle, but
Josh,
he was just like, yeah. He was very like out of character, because Dennis Hopper is at his best when he's playing kind of a little bit off kilter kind of characters. They don't have to be bad, but just kind of like the strange guy,
Yeah.
That's where his sweet spot is. And here he was playing this like really just normal
kind of
guy.
weird, like he was a retired doctor or something like that, I think, right?
I think so. There was a whole house of learned doctors. I wrote that this is a very 2006 film. The only thing that was missing was the score. I said, where's the new metal? There was no like it
was like weird, like
orchestral,
cheesy.
but not really.
Yeah.
They had a song at the very end during the credits, was the only song with lyrics, and it was
bad.
It felt like a TV song. I asked who were the red people, because there's this tribe that is kind of the genesis of the whole storyline, but they have this like red powder that they're covered in that is laced with some sort of psychotropic. I forget, is it like LSD or some sort of like type of.
It was like peyote almost, kind of like trippy, like, it made him hallucinate kind of a thing.
So they're blaming his like thing that he's going through with remembering something that didn't happen to him, but he was seeing through the eyes of a killer, essentially, I guess.
And he was seeing through the eyes of somebody that was like,
older
he
than
thought that was that was related to him, like an ancestor, like an ancestral kind of memory sort of thing. So it was like passed down through his DNA.
Which you find
which
at
it
the
was.
End. It was, but initially you're like, no, it's not.
Yeah.
That was kind of the twist that it was not. It was actually somebody that was related to him.
You know what it felt like? It almost felt like they had an idea for a movie. They're like, we want to do something. We like the word memory.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're like, who can we get? And like maybe they've got a friend and they're like, oh, I can get Anne Margaret. They're like, oh, cool. And then they're like, let's write a part for her.
The other guy's like, I know Billy Zane. They're like,
oh, he'd be neat. Let's make him the lead character. And like, let's make him super nice. And then they're like, oh, let's get Dennis Hopper. Like, it's just like all these, and they wrote the movie around them or something. I don't know. It just felt so disjointed, weird. It felt really rushed at the end. There was no reason to rush it like the way that they did. They're like, oh yeah, by the way, this is the killer. And like, I'm going to move Billy Zane. Is it okay if I'm like talking about this part?
Yeah, I said spoiler. This is
You've got other
spoilers all
stuff
over
to
the
talk
place.
about. You have other thoughts, I'm sure, but
Oh yeah, we're not even halfway through, but
yeah.
that's all right.
So yeah,
Hop around.
no,
Be like
jump around.
kid and play. Yeah.
Just take
Or
Billy
no.
Zane and like he accidentally stumbles into this
Not
room.
kid.
Oh, jump around. Yeah, that's
Crisscross.
crisscross.
Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
So yeah, take Billy Zane and throw him into this room and be like, oh, it's covered with newspapers. This is how I'm gonna wrap up all the little loose ends. But they do it so fast. You're like, wait, what? And then like he's just, oh, I saw this picture, and then he's like, and then underneath the picture was like an article that explained one other thing, and then he like rips that off, and then there's another article that explains something else, and it's just all in the right spot. Like, but this room is covered with like newspaper, so it's just. And why would you save some of the newspaper articles that she saved? Like, and it didn't show the whole newspaper article. It showed it like a scrolling like line kind of thing. So it's like, person, it like goes through this to get blah, 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 like, and then I'm like, I had to rewind it like 3 times and like slow it down and go, oh, okay.
And then everything was on fire.
Yeah, it was so odd.
I do have to say that Billy Zane has got to be the most Eagle Scout that ever Eagle Scouted, because he's like, I'm going to go out on a boat in the middle of nowhere. And he's like, what's in my bag? Oh, I've got scuba gear. Ta-da. And then he's like, hey, let's go on a date. How about we go ice skating? Here's some skates that are in your size.
And yeah, he
why?
asks this girl, and he's real weird about this like dating thing. They're like, at one point they're in the middle of like having a conversation, and like, is that when he said that I like so the whole thing is like, if he touches water, did you notice that?
Oh yeah, that was like a trigger.
It was like a trigger. And so like he would touch water, and then all of a sudden he'd be transported into this like real life scenario of a memory from 1971.
Yep.
And like he would come out of it and he'd be soaking wet, or he'd be like, it's almost like he like wasn't just hallucinating it. It was like there. Yeah. And so it was just really odd. And then so he's like telling this woman, he's like, hey, by the way, the man in your painting is like this black coat guy with like a face mask thing. I dreamt about it. And so she's just like, okay, date over, and then just leaves. And then he like comes back and like, I'm going to ask her on another date. And she's like, sure. But it was just so like, there was no like chemistry between them. I didn't feel like this was something that like they would want to be. Yeah, they did not go well together. I don't feel like.
By the end of the movie, they're together. They're like hardcore together.
It's weird.
So it's like 5 years later at the end. But so just real quick, the basic premise is that there's a serial killer that kidnaps a little girl, and then
several little girls.
And then after they've done whatever they're going to do with the little girl, or they've kept her for a while, they then kidnap another girl. And then the one that was before that, they mutilate them into such a way that then they start the house on fire. So it looks like that little girl died, and they can take the other girl and nobody's questioning. So it's just like this constant like chain of, one girl replaces another girl.
And they don't ever say why it's a little girl.
They don't ever say that they, tried DNA testing to make sure that it's actually the person, or dental records or anything. They just assume, and it's 2006. There were some DNA capabilities. They don't even assume, even though the body is like horribly like unrecognizable. They don't check to make sure that it's actually the little girl that is supposed to be the one that, I don't know. It was like, okay.
And he's seeing like these scenes of the little girl alive. And then he's like, seeing like the mass killer person, and then like somebody in a trunk under the water, and like, it's just like kind of weaving. And he's like, is this my dad? Because he doesn't know who his dad is. The girl he starts dating, she's like, I'm adopted. And like, so I'm like, okay,
Are
well,
they related? It's like,
and she also painted the same thing he was seeing. So like, she's having some regressed memory kind of thing. Like, so maybe she saw him, like the mass killer, like
all because of the red powder.
Yeah.
And it just, incidentally, fun fact I wrote down, 2006 is the year I started podcasting. Anyway, so, at this point, things kind of all come to a head, and it's all very uninteresting. I wrote down, who thought this was a good idea? Because all of a sudden he was like a superhero, with the way he was able to kind of do things. Like he just kind of had this like power to do this and do that. And it not like superpowers literally, but it felt like they were kind of going outside of just the fact that he was under the effects of this psychotropic drug. And like she said, he finds all this stuff, he finds out all the information, he puts everything together, and it turns out that the killer is
Anne Margaret. And then, so not only is it Anne Margaret, but she's his mother. So he was raised by
swapping again.
Yeah. So he was raised by this woman that has Alzheimer's and is in memory care or whatever. Like she's, invalid basically at this point. Like she can't talk. Well. Yeah. She's bedridden. And so he's, being super kind and loving to his mom. And they're all like, they all kind of treat him like a son, kind of. So Dennis Hopper's character, Anne Margaret, supposedly. And then then his mom or whatever is in the bed. But you see like in those flashy article things that his mom that raised him was actually the nurse that helped his biological mom, who is Anne Margaret, and Anne Margaret had been kidnapped and basically taken advantage of. I don't know if you want me to say the word, forced to have a baby. Child, yeah. And kind of she went a little wackadoo. And so Dennis Hopper was the doctor, I think, that had helped all of them. So yeah,
like Pepe Sylvia.
And it's literally like seconds of flashes. So you're like, wait, what? And
like
so
it ran out of money.
Yeah, and apparently his actual father died in all of this. Yeah. And so his mom, Anne Margaret, ends up being the masked killer in all of this. And then at the very end of the movie, he's living now with the girlfriend. It's like 6 months later or something like that. And she's like, oh, here's a box of my mementos from when I was a child.
Go right ahead.
No, she's like, can you take these upstairs and put them in a like closet or whatever? And he's like, sure. And bumbles it and drops it on the stairs.
She says, feel free.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, she gives him permission.
She was joking or whatever. Yeah. So he's picking all this stuff up. Well, one of the items that he kept seeing when he was going through his flashbacks was this little girl that got away.
That had a bracelet on.
She had a bracelet that had a heart. It had a little red heart on it. It was like painted on.
That was a star.
No, it was a heart. I watched it multiple times.
You did watch it more times than I did. The last part.
Yeah.
Anyway,
so it had a little heart on it. And she had used the bracelet to scratch the person or something like that to get away.
To get away.
Yeah. And so, he sees this bracelet and then he looks up at her and then that's the end of the movie.
Because it's like, hey, you're the girl is what
you're the
thinking.
Girl I've been seeing all along.
The one that got away.
You weren't adopted because of like anything. Your parents don't even know that you're missing, kind of a thing. But I'm sure that they probably burned up in a fire because like Anne Margaret was just setting people on fire left and right.
But they don't ever resolve that. They just like, ta-da, extra twist.
He's like, oh, it's you all along.
And they jump up in the air and high five.
No.
Then the music starts and it's like,
no.
Yeah. And then we're like,
celebrate good time.
Come on.
It was just really odd, very rushed. Not well thought out. It's like somebody took the storyboard and mixed it up. I just feel like
they were
it was
doing
just
the William S. Burroughs cut and paste method of storytelling.
Yeah.
Anyway, so do you have? Wait, do we do ratings or final thoughts?
I usually do the final thought, and then we do a rating.
Okay.
So my final thought was this made for TV? Because even though the cast was decent, it was boring, incoherent, and bad. And I'm not saying that all made-for-TV movies are like that.
Oh, not at all.
But I was just like...
There's a lot of good ones.
That was my first question. Is it made-for-TV? I was like...
It's just the way that it felt. Made for... Especially in that time period.
It was
had a very distinct feel.
Yeah.
So my final thoughts were, this was bloated, cliched, and uninteresting. Memory is very forgettable.
Oh, good line.
How do you like that?
So out of... I put out of 10. It's out of 5.
It's out of 5. It's not food.
Yeah. So out of... like a scale out of 5, we always make up a different scale or whatever. Like I don't know
what is it this time.
Yeah, like instead of stars, it's doll masks.
Oh,
because that's pretty much what she had on, was like a doll
more or
mask,
less,
and like that whole room that she had was like filled with these weird doll masks.
Yeah, she turned all the little girls. She made doll replicas of them sort of.
Yeah.
That had their names on them, and it was weird. And there was like 30 or 40 of them in there. Lots. Anyway, so for me, I ended up, and don't ask me how I came up with this number, but I gave it -3 out of 5.
I gave it -5.
Yeah. I
So
think
at least we're in the negatives
the
together.
only thing that kind of saved it for me was the fact that there was a good cast, but they were wholly wasted.
Yeah. Well, I actually fell asleep a couple times during it. So that's one of the reasons why I rewound it. Because I was like, no. I need to rewatch that part. And then, because I fell asleep during it. And then I watched it and I was like, that doesn't make any sense. So I rewound it a little bit further and I watched it and I was like, still doesn't make any sense.
Because she asked me what happened. And I was like, I don't really care at this point.
He
I
said
just
he
wanna
didn't
go to
even
bed.
know. He's like,
I'm like,
I
I
don't
had
even
no
know.
idea.
I don't even know why she's doing it. Like it was dumb. Yeah. And he was getting tired. It was the end of the night.
It was just not a good movie.
No.
But anyway,
All right.
so
if
you can
if
get
they
rid of that.
we're gonna blow this. We're gonna blow it up. Make it a big blow
Well,
up.
there's 3 films
Like
on there,
a
so-
nuclear blast kind of thing. Ready? The dog's toy. So what
yes.
do you recommend?
So there is nothing that I could think of that even comes remotely close to what we watched.
No.
So instead I said, what's a Billy Zane movie that I really like? So I went with 1996's The Phantom. The DC comic character, the chew gun toting, mysterious horse riding superhero that eventually they'll make another one probably. But I enjoyed it. It was big dumb fun and
Big
he
dumb
makes
fun.
a good action hero. So
All right. Well, what are you watching next week?
next week, this is from 1995.
Whoa.
It has 2 names, but I'll let you give the name that's on there. It's the first one on the back.
Okay. So this is out of a 10 movie horror collection.
Mhm.
So you said it's which one?
The first one,
The very first one?
Yep.
The Legacy of Evil?
which is also known as The Possession of Michael D.
Oh.
Don't know
Oh,
why
this is going to
it's-
be a bad one then. Ooh, I can't wait till we watch Neither World.
There is a lot of stuff on there. Some of them sound good, some sound
Horrible. All right, so I'm going to read the synopsis real quick. A family man's personality drastically changes when he's overcome by the devil. But as he and his wife battle his possession, they learn that his plight is a dark family legacy. That's it. Oh,
Yeah, there's some people in it.
there are some people in it.
Yep.
Weird
I already
choices.
wrote my notes for it, so I know who's in it. And
There's violence, profanity, and adult situations in it.
Oh, it's one of those movies, huh?
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you very much for watching. That's the end of our show. And, again, you can always find us at thenewlydeads.com if you want to find our information. And until next week.
Keep it cheap and creepy.
Bye.
Doesn't mean you should go chasing the dead.
It may be your robot, but it's my house.
I'm gonna get a close look at these sharks.
Sounds dangerous.
Well, I'll be careful.
Hey, if it makes you feel good, do it.
Makes you feel good. Do it. Exactly. First things first, of course. The blood seal.